I wish I understood my niche earlier. Uh, but there's an expression in the coaching world I heard, which I think has a lot of truth. Your practice finds you. Your practice finds you. So what that means, you may start out your journey going, yeah, performance improvement. That's what I want to focus on. I'm excited about that. I want to do that. But you know, the clients aren't there, or maybe you're challenged to sell yourself in that particular area. But there are other opportunities that you see, and the other doors open, and grasp that. So if I had a crystal ball, that's about the only change that I think I would have made. That would have been helpful to know. Hey Brian, it's going to be in two areas. It's going to be in career coaching and executive coaching. Go for it.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Founder. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as a founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Brian Kail. And Brian started his founding journey. So he was, at the time, was working for U.S. Bank in the IT department, and was looking for opportunities within the U.S. Bank. And after about 12 years of that, got tired of things, figured he needed to make a big change. So looked into what he was passionate about, and that included wanting to focus on helping people. And so started to research into coaching, found that was a good fit, and started the journey, or the founding journey from there. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Brian.
Thanks, Devin. Excited to be here.
Hey, excited to have you on. So I just gave kind of that quick snippet of how you got to founding the current business, but take us back to you were working or when you were working at U.S. Bank in the IT department, kind of how that led to the founding of the current business.
Yep. It's a story that I've told a few times to different people, but yeah, I'd been in the IT area, and that not as a programmer, but as a technical person, and really as a business person. Thinking about solving problems, solving business problems, partnering with different business lines. So I've been in the IT space, but working with business partners for 20 some years. So in the last position that I had before I launched my business, the career coaching, executive coaching business that I do, I was working at U.S. Bank. I had actually worked for U.S. Bank before, so I returned. I think this is 2010. I went back to U.S. Bank and working IT space, and I had been doing essentially the same role for some 12 years, different companies, usually larger companies, corporations, and similar work. And around 2014, I hit a wall, and I just didn't have the energy. I just couldn't get motivated. I felt like I'd, seen it, done it before many times. And, I kind of lost energy and interest. And that to me was a sign that it's time for a change. And hey, how about an idea of creating your own business and, doing that, which I'd never done before. So that was pretty exciting to me. And so that's the last piece of work that I was doing was for U.S. Bank and the IT space, but working with business partners.
So now, and I think that there are people that, kind of can, or a lot of times will hit that wall, or they'll kind of say, okay, I'm a bit worn out, or I'm tired, or I want to change, or, I need something different, or I've lost some of the excitement, or kind of whatever those would be. And yet, they're kind of then, I don't know that they feel stuck, but they don't know what they, or how they want to proceed, or what they want to do in order to remedy that. So, sometimes it's, hey, I just need to completely make a change. Other times it's, hey, I just need to maybe work a little less or find a hobby. Or sometimes it's, hey, maybe it's a change of location, or, or various things to solve that. So kind of as you started to hit that wall, how did you kind of figure out, okay, I recognize that I'm getting in that situation. Now, what am I going to do about it? Kind of how did you to figure out where to go from there?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point that you make. And frankly, if you've got a viewer out there, a listener, and they find themselves in that position that, I'm just not feeling fulfilled. The money is okay, everything is okay, but, I'm just not sure that this is what I want to be doing. Good idea to talk with me or someone like me that works with managing careers and understanding people's passions and their skills, their hard skills, their soft skills. It's so going back, my personal story. Um, I did a lot of thinking. I did a lot of reflecting. Thankfully, I was in a position where I was debt free or darn near debt free. So I had some opportunities, and I wasn't panicking. I knew that a big change was coming, and for me personally, I started looking at the people side of things. I started looking at how can I help people, and I felt for a long time that I liked working with people. Frankly, I feel like I was at my best when I was one on one with people. So, what would that look like? What kind of a business would that look like? And so, for me, it was a change in focus from working on solutions, business solutions, technical solutions, that kind of thing, and switching that focus over to people and helping people. And I felt passionate about that. I did want to help people, but I wanted to help them in a specific way. So I started looking at my assets, my background, my personality. That was part of it too. And I explored a couple different ideas, and I, through some research, really, I came across the coaching discipline, which I had some rough ideas of what that might be like, but the deeper that I went into the discipline, the coaching methodology, that I educated myself that really a good coach is a good listener and an enabler. So what I mean by that is, initially I thought coaching would be people come to me with their problems, their issues, this kind of thing, and I would tell them what to do, right? And I learned pretty quickly, and I took some coursework. I became certified as a professional career coach and a professional coach.
And
And
just maybe one quick question just to dive into that. So I mean, so say, okay, dealing with IT for technical issues for a good portion of the career. Hey, I want to make a focus more
yep.
on people. Now you said you kind of came across coaching. How did you kind of or come to the understanding or realization maybe that's a good fit or that's a good option? So in other words, there's that leap from, hey, I know I want to work with people, to here's now where I can maybe or fit that in with what I want to do. So how did you kind of come to that conclusion?
Yeah. So I guess the first start on this is I did want to have my own business. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to launch it. So that was kind of the starting point. And then, I looked at my assets were, my background was in business, interviewing people. That was a big part of what I did over the last, 20 years, thereabouts. And I like this idea of coaching one-on-ones. I thought that would be a good fit for my personality. I looked at this is getting a little bit off the path, but I looked at maybe doing some business training, maybe doing some teaching, at a college level, because I do have an MBA, I have an advanced degree. I looked at that a little bit, but the more that I looked, this idea of being an entrepreneur and starting my own business, that became very appealing to me, and I was willing to take the risk. Thank God, I was in a good spot that I was able to take the risk. And I wanted to leverage my background in business and frankly in careers, because in my career, personally, I've gone through 2 or 3 major career changes myself, and a bunch of job changes, a bunch of job searches. So I had a lot of experience in that area, and so I wanted to leverage that and use that expertise and help other people. So I hope that helps kind of what my thinking was and some of the other options I looked at.
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. So now as you're getting into, okay, came to the conclusion coaching is a good fit, maybe a good option, gives you that change you're looking for, and kind of gives you the avenue to go forward. How did you then get into coaching, or kind of what were those steps, and kind of how did you make that transition from focusing on IT to going into coaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way that I looked at marketing myself and marketing my coaching practice, I looked at it from a consumer client point of view. What would I be looking for? What would I be looking for if I hired a coach? I'd want them to have a solid education. Probably a college degree would be helpful. I would want them to be certified. So that was important for me, and I became certified. I wanted them to have some training. I would want them to have some training, understand the best practices, the core methodology that's involved, and have some success, be able to show some success. So, excuse me, those are the things that I consider. I looked at it from a consumer perspective or a client perspective. What would I personally look for if I was going to hire a coach to improve my career, to work on my career, or to work on management and executive issues?
No, makes sense. So now you start to say, okay, here's a criteria. Here's what what I would want to have in place if I were to be hiring a coach or myself, so to speak, and kind of go through that process. So now, as you get that in place, how did you go about kind of setting up the coaching business, finding clients, getting that all in place to start to replace the revenue, the income, the ability to sustain the lifestyle type of a thing as you're now making that transition. Walk us through that a bit.
Yeah. It was a wild ride, and as I say, I'd never done this before. This is the first business that I've launched. Uh, Key is your clients. I mean, your clients, your customers, where you're going to find them. And I didn't know where that was going to happen. So I tried a number of different things. I mean, some, in, looking back, some kind of crazy things, but I mean, I did radio ads. One of the things that I did Google ads. I joined a local networking group, Chamber of Commerce, so Metro North Chamber of Commerce. I joined that to do some networking and look for some leads. And I think about I mean, it's rough. And it was the first few months were rough, and this is kind of, if you're starting something new in a new space, this is kind of the first 6 months to even a year. It can be kind of rough, but about 6 to 9 months in, something like that, I did an evaluation and I looked at those things that had no success, and I just stopped doing them. And I looked at the couple of things that were working, seemed to have some success to them, and just focus on those things. And when I made that decision, I made that change in my business model, life got a lot easier. It was it was a much easier life to have going forward. But and the key that I found in career coaching, and I looked at a couple different niches when I was starting the coaching practice, but I saw pretty quickly that these other areas are interesting to people, but people are willing to pay money when it comes to their career, which makes sense because that's where we make our mortgage payments, we make our car payments, we buy our groceries. It all comes from most of us, it comes from our job, and people were willing to pay money for my expertise and, my program to move things forward.
Hmm. So now, and walk through kind of what period of time, or kind of as you're getting things going, when did you get started?
So the business launch, the coaching practice launch was 2015. I did the first part of 2015. I did some training. I did some coaching training, World Coach Institute in Florida, actually,
Hmm.
and did some training there. Then immediately got certified because, again, certification was, I thought, would be an important thing for people. So 2015 is when I really launched. I created the LLC, and as I say, it was pretty. I was having conversations, but it was pretty lean. It was, my revenue was pretty lean the first few months, and then I would say around March, April 2016, things started to cook. Things started to happen, and there was, if you think back, there was a new administration that we had,
Hmm.
national administration. I think that had an impact. I think it did. So things started to cook around 2016, and it just got better. It just got better, and it exceeded all my expectations, of what this could be, what this coaching practice could be. At this point, I've helped hundreds of clients, career clients, and also executives, help them with their career and building executive skills. So it's been great. I mean, it's been a great ride.
Now walk through, because I assume so 2016, that or a period of time and change in administration, maybe change in, government focus, whatever you want to call it, or, approach the economy. And now that's continued. I assume that's continued to evolve, both maybe with your focus on, where you're focusing the coaching, the business, how you're generating clients, maybe, external forces and those type of things. So kind of walk us through over that, coming up on 8-year period of time, how things have evolved or how things have continued to change.
Yeah, that's, it kind of blows my mind that, I'm coming into the 9th year of doing this. So frankly, around 2016 thereabouts, I knew where my clients were. And I had a lot of success. Thank God I had a lot of success. And really that ran through, it was pretty much unchanged. The business model really didn't change too much until probably we hit this last year, maybe year and a half.
Hmm.
And I've seen a change. I mean, I've seen definitely a change in the economy, and inflation has created some big time challenges. So me as a business owner, I need to make some changes. I need to make some changes because those old, that feed that I used to get, it's not, it's just not there. For the most part, it's just not there. I find, and this is getting into the career coaching piece, which is really, career coaching is around job searches. So it seems like two things have been tough. It's been challenges to the business. Number one is inflation, because not just in the coaching that I do, but I'm tempted to say just about any coaching practice, it's discretionary money. So as as prices go up, inflation goes up. Groceries have gone up 20% in the last year, in 2023. That's a squeeze. That's a squeeze on people. So I see that as a change that's been a challenge, to the business. And the other thing that I see is, I think there's some apprehension. Put it that way. I think there's been some apprehension around the economy, a lot of layoffs, which is in the news almost daily. You see another layoff. I'm in Twin Cities, Minneapolis. 3M has gone through a couple of very large layoffs of people. And I think that people, if they've got a good job and they're okay with the job, maybe their happiness is maybe 60%, 70%, something like that, they're going to hunker down. It seems like they're hunkering down right now, and they're waiting for, a better environment, which brings me to some optimism, because I do think that 2024 is probably going to be the best year to look for a job, consider a job change, excuse me, in probably the last 3 or 4 years. And this has to do with being an election year. We talked about this a little bit offline, but had a conversation, a talk myself with economy expert a couple of weeks ago, and I tend to agree with it. What he's saying, that in 2024 being major election year, things are going to tend to moderate. There's some good business reasons that companies want to moderate. I think the markets, like stock markets, investment markets, are going to be more stable. I think there's going to be a little more opportunity. So I think what's going to happen in 2024 is people are going to see health and some stability in the economy, in the job market, and they're going to make a move. And that's what I advise people. If you've been kind of not so happy, or if you're in a space where you really need a promotion, you need more money, to make your life work, 2024, I think, is going to be the best year to look at doing that, in probably the last 3 or 4 years that we've had.
No, it is interesting, how things evolve, whether it's, administrations, economy, confidence in the marketplace, evolution or introductions of different technologies or ways to approach it, how they all tend to impact a lot of, how people approach the job market, and how people approach, their level of happiness they're willing to accept, type of a thing. So definitely will be an interesting year yet ahead, and present some interesting opportunities. So kind of with that, now as we've kind of walked through a bit of the founding journey and kind of how you got the business going, and how it's evolved up until now, great time to transition to the question I always like to ask towards the end of each episode. So I'm going to jump to that now. And that question is, if you were to go back, to the early days of your business when you're just getting started, what would be the one decision you'd make differently?
So I had an inkling that you were going to ask this kind of a question. And it's a tough one for me, because not like I'm some wizard, but I didn't make too many mistakes. The only thing I would say is I wish I understood my niche earlier. But there's an expression in the coaching world I heard, which I think has a lot of truth. Your practice finds you. Your practice finds you. So what that means, you may start out your journey and going, performance improvement. That's what I want to focus on. I'm excited about that. I want to do that. But, the clients aren't there, or maybe, you're challenged to sell yourself in that particular area. But there are other opportunities that you see, and the other doors open, and, grasp that. So, if I had a crystal ball, that's about the only change that I think I would have made. That would have been helpful to know, hey, Brian, it's going to be in 2 areas. It's going to be in career coaching and executive coaching. Go for it. And I didn't see that. I had some other ideas. I was thinking more. I thought career would be a part of it. Working with executives, I thought would be a part of it. But I thought initially that there would be more business consulting or business coaching, and so the practice found me. I found where I had my value, and it's in the area of career coaching and executive coaching. And maybe I could have gotten a stronger launch had I known that, but you have to kind of go through the exercise and learn from it.
No, makes perfect sense. And it's kind of one of those that if you knew exactly where you were going to end up at the end of things, you'd maybe be able to shorten that time frame or be able to provide that focus. And yet going through some of those activities is what leads you to identify what is the area that you want to focus on and most correctly jives with what you want to do. So great decision to learn from.
A time machine would be helpful.
Absolutely. So, well, until then, we'll have to soldier on. But so with that, now as we do wrap up towards the end of the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Yep. And I'll mention that I do free consultations all the time. I will do, and I'm not cheap about doing a consultation. I'll give a person up to a full hour if they need that amount of time to talk about their situation. But best way to reach me, and that would be to go to my website, which is ascendprocoach.com. That's ASCENDPROCOACH.com. Go to that site, and there's a phone number there, and call that number and leave a message, and I will get that message, and I promise I will get back with the person, and we'll talk about their situation, and if it's appropriate, we'll set up consultations. No problem.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, take advantage of the consultation, as well as, if nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again, Brian, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners are out there, if you can help us share these founding journeys with even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey of success, just make sure to click share, subscribe, and leave us a review. Really does help us to help those other businesses along their journeys to success. And on that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else with your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Brian, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
I'm optimistic about 2024, and thanks for the conversation. I think it's been a really interesting conversation.
Absolutely.